Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that's going to help you become your best self. And today we are talking about the best and worst ways to manage your emotions. But before we jump into that, I do want to invite you, as always, to come over and say hi to me on my Instagram. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo. You are also welcome to send me an email at realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. I have had a couple of you guys recently come over and say hi to me on Instagram, and it makes me so excited and so happy in my heart. So thank you so much for doing that. And if you want any of the information on how to spell all of those things, it is going to be in the show notes, readily available for you. I look forward to saying hi to you. I'm like asking like, how are you doing? And like, if you need prayer requests. And I always am so enthusiastic when you take the time out of your day to come say hi to me. I appreciate it. So let's be friends online. Check all that in the show notes. But let's dive into today's episode again, which is the best and worst ways to manage your emotions. So emotions are my thing, right? This is a statement. It's not a question. It's not even like a concern or like, is it? No, it's my thing. We all know this, unless you're new here. Emotions are my thing. And I love to talk about becoming more self-aware and understanding yourself better. It's my jam. It's something that I want to be able to do with people one-to-one, in groups, in courses, and all kinds of things. It is the thing that gets me all fired up. And, I talk highly about honoring your emotions and not allowing these to get like stuffed under the rug just for a volcanic explosion. Think about that. Really have that image in your mind. A volcanic explosion to happen later, because it always does. Don't tell me it doesn't. Maybe you're just lying to yourself to say like, oh no, that's never happened to me. I'm sure it has. Maybe you just decided to block that out. That's fine. That's fine, but it always does. But I also understand that these actions and exercises take work. It takes work. Like if anyone tells you that like getting your emotions in order and understanding yourself and, really strengthening that side of yourself so you feel like you're in more control, not complete control, but more control. If they tell you it's easy, they're lying. It is not. It is not easy, but it's worth it and it takes work. And sometimes, that work is just like, you're like, I don't know about that, Sometimes you're not in the mood for work. This is real talk here. Like you're not in the mood for work. Sometimes you want to do something that is right to the point to get you through. And I get that. 110%. I get it. You're like, Sabrina, I just need something that is quick and dirty, to the point. Can you just like help me slap a Band-Aid on this for a little bit, not forever, but for a little bit, and help me get along my way, and then I'll come back. So that's the responsible thing to do. We don't always do that. I do want to recognize that. I understand that, right? I understand that I'm trying to like tell you that the responsible thing for you to do is to understand that you are taking a little bit of a shortcut. You are plastering a Band-Aid on the problem, but you have to be responsible enough to go back and figure it out to really fix it, or that problem will just continue to happen and happen and happen. And if you don't believe me, take a step back, widen your perspective, and ask yourself, why do I continually go through this, whatever it is, problem time and time again? It's because you haven't actually taken the proper time to deal with it. I'm telling you. And, a lot of us, even myself, I'm not excluded at all from this whatsoever, take time to learn specific lessons. And sometimes it takes us multiple times. That's okay. It doesn't mean anything negative about you. It just means that you have some sort of fear or dislike or undesirable feelings to address it. It's fine. We all come in our own time. So I just want you to know that. So I'm not against what I'm about to talk about today at all, obviously, because I'm talking about it. But I want you to know that taking shortcuts with everything in your life isn't going to fix it permanently. It feels like it will because you're like, wow, I continue to use the shortcut and I continue to get away with it. And one day it'll catch up with you. So there is my disclaimer. But so sometimes you just want to like get right to the point, quick and dirty solutions. Got it. I get it. But you might also be thinking, I want to address this as well. Why can't I just avoid my emotions until it becomes too much to bear, right? Why can't I go with the solution that I will just continue to, sweep it under the rug and allow it to fester and come out as a volcanic eruption? That sounds fun. It sounds colorful. It sounds like a good time. It's not a good time. And it might not feel like that bad of a thing for you, but if you have anyone close to you in your life and they are in the line of fire, the literal line of fire, you will hurt them. And sometimes you can hurt people so badly that it takes longer than you anticipated to mend, to patch up that relationship. So the answer to the question is why? Why can't I just avoid my emotions until it becomes too much to bear? The answer is because it will break you. It's the most simplest answer I can give you. It will break you. It will break you into a million pieces. It'll break you. It'll break your relationships, your life. It's not ideal. Okay, so I just want you to know that. You might think it's been working for you for a while. There are people in my life that I recently talked to that believed for years that this was the best go-to for them. They were like, yeah, I just sweep it under the rug. I just don't even deal with it. I just forget about it. I just avoid it. And then they realized, wow, I have these outbursts because, the things will continue to pile up and then there'll be sometimes a random trigger and it'll just all go kaboom. It'll just go crazy. Okay? And sometimes it's not a random trigger. A lot of times it is, though. It's just like that straw that broke the camel's back, that phrase. That's it. So just something to consider. So this is why today I want to go over some great ways to manage your emotions and some not so great ways to manage your emotions in a simple to implement into your life way. Right? Quick and dirty. That's what we're talking about today. Because there are a host of things, like I alluded to earlier, there are a host of things I would suggest you do each day to get into the habit of honoring your feelings and learning to manage these and how to do it when you can take all the time in the world and when you can't. And it can become a lot, right? Actually going through the needed process to really have that be a healthy habit that is fostering your emotions in your life, right? It'll take a lot. But these will be quick solutions to use in the moment to gauge whether you are choosing a positive or negative way to manage your current emotions. And sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you're just like, am I going down the right path? Is this helpful for me? Yes, no, okay, continue, right? Sometimes it doesn't need to be a super deep situation where you're like, I'm really sad because this thing happened. Sometimes you don't need to look that deeply into it. Sometimes it's very straightforward and you're like, okay, should I smack the person across the face that told me this news? Or should I just take some time away to deal with it? Obviously the latter. The latter is the answer, not the former. But yeah, so I just want to give you like a quick and dirty list because that's what we're here, right? So I'm going to start with a list of the worst, more negative options to take when trying to manage your emotions. I like to start with the bad, end with the good. The idea is for you to be able to identify what isn't the best choice for you by either taking note of this list and maybe having it to refer back to if you want. And by taking note, you could physically take note, or you can just listen to it and be like, okay, we'll try to remember these things and highlight them in my mind if I decide to go this way and I realize that's not the best choice. So I have a list of 7 negatives. I have a list of 7 positives. I didn't want to overwhelm you. I was going for 10 and I was like, no, 7 feels better because then there's 14 together. So this list, the first one for negative emotional management is yelling at someone. I laugh. I shouldn't laugh because I've definitely done, not all of them, not all the things I'm going to list, but a lot of them. And yelling at someone is definitely something I've done. Definitely something I've done, even in my marriage. My husband and I are working on our communication skills. Sometimes we yell, and we're getting better at not doing that. But sometimes you get carried away in your emotions. You choose a negative emotional management tool, and there's regret involved, right? And yelling at someone isn't going to help, right? Like, it's just like when I try to think of yelling as like speaking louder as if they can't hear you. And also, it's just like that emotion, that energy that is in the rage, that's in the anger, that's in the emotion because you want to get your point across. You want them to, and the other person to understand how much whatever has happened and transpired between you two has affected you, that you have to speak in a louder voice so that they understand. But there could also be the possibility that you're trying to intimidate them. You're trying to make them feel bad. You are trying to let them know that you need to be in control of the situation. And regardless of whatever your reason is, it is not the optimum choice because it's not going to help the situation. It's not. You're going to make them feel bad, right? And that's their choice to feel bad, of course, because we're all in charge of our emotions. Yes, I know I talk about that a lot. But it's not going to help. It's not going to make the situation better. It's not going to make it easier to deal with it. And even so, if you do have an emotion that isn't necessarily tied to a situation that involves someone else directly in that moment, still going to find someone to yell at them is not going to make the situation better. I promise you. 110%. And even if you do feel like you feel better afterwards, you're going to feel regret, possibly shame and sadness, and that person's not going to feel great either. So generally, if I feel like I want to yell at someone, I try to just like go to an empty room and just yell and try to get all the yelling and the screaming out by myself so it doesn't affect someone else. The second one is lacking boundaries and saying yes to everything. This might be interesting. You might be like, how is lacking boundaries and saying yes to everything a negative emotional management tool? It's because you're not taking the time to honor your own feelings and emotions. You are deciding to just go with whatever these people want you to do. And you are deciding to let people walk all over you and not really consider how your emotions are just and your feelings are just as important as everyone else's. If someone has told you otherwise, they are wrong. I am here to tell you that they are wrong. And you have to, even if you know that that other person is going to be hurt by the fact that you say no, you have to have boundaries. You have to set limits. You can't just let people continue to walk all over you because whatever you allow people to do and however you treat yourself, they will treat you that way. So if you allow them to do it, they'll continue to do it. And then it gets a lot harder to train them out of that because for so long you allowed them to do that, right? It's not impossible, obviously, but it causes more pain that way, you know? So lacking boundaries and saying yes to everything, not a good move. Not a good move. The third one is binge eating. Very classic. A lot of people do this. I did this a lot. The summer before I went to college. And it's interesting because when I was younger, I thought I was like on the bigger side, and I was definitely like bigger than like my best friend who was like a stick and my other friends and stuff like that. But I wasn't like the biggest girl in school, right? But I felt overweight. But in like hindsight, I wasn't. But definitely that summer before I went to college, I spent a lot of time binge eating because I was depressed in the situation that I was. And I was also in a little bit of fear and worry of going off to college. And I purposely had chosen a college that was out of state because I needed to get out of the awful situation that I was in. But I was also super nervous about it. And I was like, I don't know, I was excited to get away, but also nervous of like, how is this going to work out? And I fell into binge eating because it was the thing that just felt comforting in the moment. And there's been many times throughout the years that I have fallen into that. Last year, during the whole world situation that we were going through, I definitely spent time binge eating. I'm sure a lot of people did. And it's not the move because, not just because if like maybe you don't care about your weight, maybe that's like not important to you, but you should consider the actual health ramifications of overeating and like how that is going to affect your body and the longevity of your body and getting the proper nutrients and things like that. So not focusing on weight and like what clothes look like on you, maybe that's not important to you. Okay, that's totally fine. But really consider like how your body is going to work and if it can work its best to continue to support you and help you continue to do the things in your life that you want to do and stay alive. Wow, when I said stay alive, it reminded me of like a song from Hamilton. Anyone else? Anyone? Hamilton fan? Okay. It's not great. It's just not the best option because you're not like honoring your body by you're overloading it with probably food that it doesn't need, because I don't think I've ever seen someone binge eat vegetables, or fruit. So, maybe if that's what you're doing, then okay, but I highly doubt it. So it's just something to consider. It doesn't have to be all about weight. It just can be just about like being nice and caring for your body. Okay. Number 4, another classic one, using drugs and or alcohol to numb the pain. Now, this is not one that I've done. I grew up, as many of you may know, and some of you might not. If you don't, I have told my story as time has gone on through the show, when it started last year. But, my mom used drugs. She was also a drug dealer, so I stay away from that. Alcohol has never really been my thing. I will drink it occasionally. So I don't seek comfort in any of those things. But I know a lot of people that do. And I would say that, and I'm not casting any shame on you, because we all go through our own struggles. There's going to be like the next one I'm about to talk about, definitely I've fallen into. And, that might be considered worse in your mind. But in regards to drugs and alcohol, it's obviously not a good choice, because drugs are ruining your body and the function of your body and your ability to, you're really rolling the dice on your ability to stay alive, because you might think that you have it under control of what you use and how you use it. But even my mother, that's how she died. She died of an overdose, because despite the fact that she'd been doing drugs for years, it just was too much for her in that moment. Probably a lot of other factors involved, of course, but I'm just saying, like, you just don't know. You're really gambling with your life every time you do that. And alcohol, if you just overdo it and you do too much and it doesn't really help you function, it doesn't help you actually like live out your full life. And also engaging in both of these behaviors can grossly negatively affect all relationships in your life, your ability to go to work and make money and support yourself and support anyone else that you have to in your life, and just becoming your best self. So not the best option. Now, number 5, I was very strong and I don't struggle with drugs and alcohol. However, number 5 definitely did. Number 5 is self-harm. Self-harm is definitely a negative emotional management tool that a lot of people use. I started doing it when I was in college to deal with the pain and depression of all the abuse that I had sustained in my childhood, and I just carried all of that mental health struggles to college, of course, because just moving away and basically starting a new life does not wipe the slate clean. It makes it a lot easier to restart your life and to have a fresh start, but it doesn't wipe away everything that you've experienced and endured. So I leaned into hurting myself, because it was a way for me to be in control of the situation. It was a way for me to actually inflict and feel the pain that I was feeling, and it helped me just get that energy out. Not the best choice at all, at all. And it really did hinder relationships, because it happened a lot in college, and then I took a break from it, and then it happened again when our daughter was really young, and then it got to a point where it was so bad that I was forced to get help, and it affected my husband and all my friends and my family, and it was tough, okay? So hurting yourself, you're going to affect other people, and that's not to make you feel guilty, but you should consider how that is going to affect the people that are around you, that love you and care for you and only want the best for you. And it's not going to solve the problem, really. It's really just continuing to internalize whatever negative emotions that you feel without actually addressing them and why you're going through them, and how to really identify what is triggering those emotions and what brought them up, and how you can better align with a better mindset to handle them, rather than just falling into that deep pit of despair that I talk about often, where you get stuck and you just continue to live in those negative behaviors. So self-harm, not a good option. Number 6, bullying and blaming others. A lot of times, when you're stressed and you're upset and you're in these emotions, you just want to blame someone else. You want to project your feelings onto someone else because it feels easier and better, and you are not ready to be responsible for how you're feeling and what's happening. Or you want to bully someone else. You want to, make them feel bad because you feel bad. Like that phrase of hurt people hurt people. People that have been hurt want to hurt others. They want to inflict that pain onto someone else because they don't know how to deal with it. And they don't think it's fair that they had to go through it and other people are not going through it. And those people don't understand what they're going through and they want them to feel the pain because misery loves company. So bullying, blaming others, not great options. And the last negative option that I want to bring up to you, which is not the end of the list forever. Obviously, there are a lot more out there. You can do your own research on Google, great resource. But the last one that I want to share with you is not asking for help and withdrawing from others. I oh my gosh, I deal with this one so badly. Not asking for help. It's a pride issue. Of course. It's also me wanting to be a people pleaser and deflect what and I'm dealing with by just like not having to burden other people with my problems and just help them with theirs. Still something that I'm working through, but it's something that a lot of us struggle with. But if you don't ask for the help that you need, which now I do, and I go to therapy every single week, and it's so helpful to get all that stuff aligned and in the right place. If you're not asking for help, then how are you supposed to get on a better track to better understand what needs to happen for things to change if you are unable to figure it out on your own? Right? And then withdrawing from others. This is something I do a lot because, again, I don't want to burden other people with my problems when there are so many people like myself that want to be there for you, that want to be there for the people in their lives. They want to feel that rush of energy and happiness and contentment that they can help you and they can assist you and they can be there for you. So I would encourage you, ask for help. Don't withdraw from others. Those are not going to help the situation. It's not going to make it better. It's only going to make you feel more lonely and lost and want to give up on life. And that's not what we want. So let's quickly transition over to positive emotional management skills. And again, there are 7 of them that I'm going to go through really briefly that could help you and be better options of handling your emotions. So the first one would be chatting with someone about how you feel. Obvious, super obvious answer. So whether that's a therapist, a counselor, a mentor, a friend, a family member, your spouse, your partner, whomever you feel comfortable with, whomever feels safe, talk to them about them. Tell them and you have to set up the scene though, like how you want it. So if you know that the people in your life like to give you advice without you asking and you don't want that, just be like, hey, I would love to tell you what I'm going through, but I do not want any advice. And could you please just listen to me and maybe don't say anything until the end? And I just really want to get it off my chest because I'm dealing with it and it's really heavy. And I just want to kind of lighten the load if you're willing to listen. That kind of thing. You're not out of line by saying that. I want you to know that. That's totally fine. It is totally game, and it's something that more of us should do so that we don't feel like we tell someone something and then they want to immediately tell us how they've been through the same thing or they want to offer advice and you're like, that's not what I'm here for. I just needed support. So chatting with someone else about how you feel. The second one is moving your body. Obvious, exercise, walking, stretching, whatever it is. It really just helps you to get into your body and to get out of your head, right? Because we get so focused on these negative emotions that we're feeling that by, changing what we're focused on and maybe thinking about how these emotions are affecting our body, it can really help. A lot of times, if I am really mad, I have gone out and worked out. I will get on the treadmill, I will walk uphill, I will run, or maybe I want to do I tend to not do weights when I'm angry because I don't feel safe doing that because I feel like if I don't have the mindset to focus on, doing the lifts in the proper way, then I will hurt myself. That's personally for me though. I prefer to do like a cardio kind of thing when I'm upset. So that, or even the Peloton bike, something like that, that will help me get that energy out that I have and kind of displace it a little bit and give me a moment to kind of breathe and really rethink how I'm feeling and then come back to it more level-headed. So that might help you. Number 3 is so great. I think it's underrated. Number 3 is crying. Sometimes you just need to cry it out. Now, my husband doesn't understand this. We've had a conversation about it before. If I'm upset about something or I'm going through something, sometimes I just want to cry. and I will find somewhere to just cry. I just cry it out. And a lot of times, I would say 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, I will feel better after just crying and I will move on. Okay? I will move on. I will have had time to really think and consider like how I'm feeling, how this has affected me, what I need to do to move forward, to be in the best way to fix the problem or not fix the problem or whatever needs to happen. But sometimes just crying and getting it out, I just feel like you're pouring that emotion out from your eyes and releasing it and just letting it go and being like, okay, we're done here. It's fine. And I'm not going to say that it always fixes the problem. That's why I said 7 or 8 out of 10 times, but it can really help to lighten the load in the moment. Number 4 is to take a break. So if you're having these emotions during work, take a break. Maybe you're having it dealing with something with your kid. Take a break. There is nothing that says that if you are having kind of a disagreement, a push and pull, a tug of war with your kid, with your spouse, your friends, whomever, that you can't take a break. Be like, hey, let's take a break. You know, it might sound silly to you if you're trying to do it with your kid, but I think you can do it. I think you can be like, okay, well, you know what? We're not really aligning right now. Let's both take a break. You know, if it's a younger kid, be like, or even my teenager, I'd be like, what, can you just go in your room and sit there for 5 minutes or 10 minutes? I'm going to go sit here, and then we're going to come back together. We're going to figure this thing out, right? Take a break. And so take a break could actually just be like taking a break, doing something, getting a coffee, getting a water, taking a nap even. I love taking a nap. Taking a nap refreshes me a lot. Taking a shower. My husband loves to take showers. That is his way of taking a break. He says he does a lot of his thinking in the shower. That's his thing, and it really helps him. Or maybe taking a bath. Like, I like to take baths, and it really helps me to zone and just be calm. I love it. Number 5 is to distract yourself with a movie or a game. So normally, if you look on a list of things to do to help you with your feelings and your emotions and managing them, there will be like a suggestion to watch a movie or a TV show, or play a game or whatever, or a YouTube video, right? And you're like, yeah, I know, Sabrina, you just said that. Yes, I did include it on my list. But I want you to see that before I listed those things, I made sure that I identified it as a distraction. So I want you to know that those things are distractions. And a distraction is something that will just temporarily take your focus away from those feelings and onto something else. But once that is over, they will return. Okay. And so maybe the distraction that you do will help you to kind of just like get out of your head and have a new perspective when you come back to it. That is the hope. That is the positive. Yes, I hope that happens to you. But sometimes you will go to the distraction and then you'll come back and nothing has changed. And so maybe you had time to at least have like a breather so you're not so hot-headed, feeling energetic about the emotions and feelings. This is good. This is good. But I want you to know that just having the distraction is not going to make those feelings go away. It's only temporary. And I need you to know that it's a good choice for positive emotional management, but it's not magic. Okay? So, but it does help. Number 6, make a list of how the problem can be solved. Now, whenever you have these intense emotions and feelings, there might not be a problem that needs to be solved. Someone might have just done something to you and you feel sad about it, or you feel whatever way that you feel about it, right? You feel upset, whatever. There might not be a problem that you can solve, because if that person is just who they are and you feel like they're a jerk and there's no changing that because you cannot change people, they have to change on their own, then, you could just write down a list of like, okay, how do I know that like what they're saying is not true, or I don't have to accept their opinion of what they said, or why do I reasons why I do not need to believe what they said, right? If there's something that's super offensive to you or whatever, you could make the list that way. But if it actually is a problem that can be solved, you can get out a quick list and write all of your ideas on it. And that can really help you to figure out how to solve it and how to move forward and kind of like get those ideas out of your head and allow you to kind of calm down from the situation and from the emotion, rather than continue to just worry on it and let it fester. No. Start trying to figure out how to solve the problem And then you could always enlist other help if you need it, if that doesn't directly like fix it by like, if you're like, I run out of ideas, I don't feel like any of these ideas are good or actually going to work, then you can bring your list to someone else and be like, hey, can you help me? Hey, can you maybe help me figure out how to solve this problem? It's totally fine if you decide that you don't want to, have anyone else involved in this problem. Totally fine, but it could be super helpful to involve someone else to problem solve it and figure out how to move forward so that you don't have to deal with it any longer on your own, or at all. So the last one that I want to mention is to do something positive for someone else. So whether that's volunteering or just reaching out to friends and family and doing something that you know that they need help with, or ask them if there's something that they need help with. Again, this is kind of a distraction, but it can be a super helpful one because a lot of times when we get in our heads about how we're feeling, about what happened, about what's going on with us, and it gets us supercharged and energized with whatever feelings that we have, we can overthink it. And by, again, kind of using this as a distraction, it can also change our perspective. So when we go out of our way to help other people, we can kind of widen our perspective and understand that maybe our problem isn't as big as we think it is because we're assisting other people with their problems. Or maybe your problem is still a big deal, even if you went and helped like Miss Susie or whomever with whatever they are dealing with, and their problem is much less problematic than yours, but you still are putting that energy to helping someone else. Maybe you can find someone else that can help you, again, like I mentioned in the last one, in the last suggestion, or it'll kind of just get your wheels turning of like, okay, well, this is how they solve this problem. How can I apply that to my problem, if at all, whatever? Can I reflect on other times where I've helped other people or if they've shared how they've solved their problems? Those kind of things. So doing something helpful and positive for someone else always helps me to shift my mindset and my perspective and figure out, oh, okay, so maybe this isn't that big of a deal, or it is that big of a deal, and this is how I can move forward without doing something negative that won't help the situation at all. Okay, so hopefully reviewing these ideas on how to manage your emotions was helpful for you. I really genuinely hope so. And whether, in identifying what you might want to stop doing and or what you should start doing, or both, I just hope that it was helpful. And I want to leave you with one last quick thing, if you're still listening. So here's one last way to manage your emotions on the fly. If you can remember to stop, accept, consider, support, it will help you bring whatever emotional state you are in to a halt to figure out the best way to proceed. And yes, I know this isn't the best acronym because it's like SACA or SACA or like whatever, but it's the best I can come up with. And there's like different multitudes of ways that people have talked about this and come up with their own acronyms. I think one of them is like PATH, PATH, but I wanted to come up with my own, and that really felt genuine to me. And if you like it, great. If not, no worries. So stop, accept, consider, support. So stop is just stopping in the moment to give yourself a break to evaluate your mental state. Accept is reminding you to accept your emotions, whether positive or negative, which is what I talk about all the time, honoring your emotions, accepting them no matter what. Doesn't mean you have to take action, you're just accepting them. Consider is taking a beat to decide if it's worth it to take your emotion to an aggressive level, maybe something negative. Ask more questions to have a better understanding if it involves someone else, so that maybe your emotions don't need to escalate as high as you feel like they might need to, or to just let it go because it isn't worth your time or energy to like react to it. And a lot of times that's true. A lot of times it's like, oh, is this worth my time? Yes or no. And the last one is support. Support is to seek out help and support if you need someone else to help you understand your emotions, or just someone to lean on while you are figuring it out. So again, stop, accept, consider, support. So hopefully that helps you, but that is it for me today. Thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast, again with me, Sabrina. I hope that you check the show notes below because it has all the notes for the show. It also has where you can find me on Instagram at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, or you can send me an email to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. Either way, I hope that I hear from you soon. But until next time, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.